Hello, IT 120 students. So we are getting into chapter 4. We are halfway done. I was so happy with the feedback that we got on the last video. I decided that we should do another one. I hope it was helpful. This week's homework, I am modifying a little bit. We're learning about cascading style sheets on page 166 and 167. The book asks you to kind of make figure 4.33, and that's great, but I modified it a bit and took 5 of the best steps that I thought was most useful for CSS for you and thought it would be a little bit easier. So let me go through our plan for the chapter 4 homework. So here we go. I've got 5 steps for you to do with project 1 on page 166. Like I said, referencing figure 4.33 on 167. Each of these 5 steps will be worth 2 points for a total of 10 points for this assignment. So the first thing I want you to do is create an external style sheet and link it to your existing HTML. I sent you new HTML and new images through your email. What I need you to do is download that file, save it on your desktop, save it wherever you would like, and make sure you are referencing that folder. Where some of you got hung up last time is when you download, make sure you're paying attention to where you put the folder. Are you putting it on your desktop? Are you putting it in your My Documents? Some of you are leaving it in your downloads folder. So make sure when you download your work, you know where it's going. So once you download that, you'll have your 2 files, like I mentioned, your HTML, and then you'll have your folder for your images. Some of you wrote to me last week and said you couldn't find your images. That is because your images are not in the exact same folder of your HTML. Your path will not resolve if it is not in the same folder. So you're going to create an external style sheet. We're not doing embedded inline styling. You're doing an external style sheet. So when you go to turn this back into me, you'll have one folder for your images, one .html document, and one .css document. The second says, type the header and footer text as outlined in question 4 on page 166. Let's go ahead and grab your textbook. I flipped to 166. Here is project 1, the steps. Question 4 gives you the CSS for your header and your footer. What this is saying is color white. That means make your text white. Background color, it gives you your hex code. That'll make it like a navy blue color. And then your margins broken down by top, right, bottom, left. And that is the information for your margins. I just want you to retype that. Number 3 is add a hover color. So when you hover over a link, it's going to change color, just like is outlined on page 166, right here in the top. It gives you add a hover color, F50057 as the hover background color, right there. The 4th option, create a class for the various section headings in the HTML. Central Park, related photos, review. Those are the 3 H3 tags where you are going to be adding a class. Step number 5, change the text color for the review headline as stated in the review section, figure 4.33 on page 166. Right down here, it tells you that you need to change the color to red for your review section. Those are your 5 questions that you need to answer. And you're probably curious, how do I do that? Well, you read the chapter already, so you're pretty familiar with cascading style sheets and what they do. Last week we built the HTML, so that's the framework. The next step is making it look pretty, and that is what cascading style sheets do. So let's go ahead and get started. Keep in mind, 1, I use a Mac, so things look a little bit different for some of you. 2, I am using Sublime Text Editor 2. I taught you how to download that last class. It just makes your tags and your HTML different colors. If you are unable to do that and you're using Notepad, not a problem. You can follow all these same steps. Just know that your tags will not be color-coded. No problem. So step 1, create an external style sheet. All right, here I am with my HTML that I sent you. I emailed it to you, chapter 4 HTML. This should look pretty familiar to some of you. Okay, you're like, Miss O'Connor, this is just HTML. I don't know what it looks like. All right, well, let's pull it open. Again, I can go to Chrome, Safari, any web browser that you have, you can open this HTML. So I go ahead to open file. Oh man, where did I put it? Where did I put it? I downloaded it, right? Put it on my desktop. Chapter 4 for the students. There I have my HTML, my images folder. So let's pull up my HTML. There it is. This should look familiar from last class. It's very similar to the chapter 3 we worked on last week, right? Okay. So I have it now in my in my web browser and my text editor. First step was to create a CSS sheet. So I go to File, New File. Here it is. I'm going to do File Save As right away because I need the name of that file to link it to my HTML. So it tells you to name it in the book, Chapter 4 Project. I'm just going to name mine Style, completely up to you. Make sure you end it with .css. Go ahead and hit Save. Again, you can do this in Notepad. You can do this anywhere you would like. So my first step is I need to link this to my HTML. I need to tell my HTML to look to the style.css file to find all the pretty stuff. So you do that right here in the HTML, line 7. You have your head tag, your meta tag, your title tag, and right before you close your head tag, you need to tell the HTML where your CSS is located. This is written out in your textbook on page 126, right at the bottom, this link relative style sheet. So go ahead and copy that. It is link rel equals style sheet. It's telling you that this is a style sheet. And the name of it, your href, is mine I named style.css. Don't forget you need your parentheses, your backslash, and your closing bracket. All right, so let's file save. I always save. Now I am ready to go ahead and start typing on page 166 for the header footer, information that's outlined in the book. I don't need to do anything but copy what is in the book. Open squiggly brackets. I hit enter a few times just to keep my space. Color is white. Always end with a semicolon. Don't forget your semicolons to close your tags. Background color and pound symbol 1A. Sorry, these hex codes are long. 7E. Close that. And the last one is margin. And you can break it down like we talked about, right, left, bottom, top. But if you write them all out under margin, it is automatically implied that this is right, left, top, bottom. 4EM, 0.25EM, 4EM, semicolon. I need a space here. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and say File, Save. I've linked right here my style sheet. So now when I preview my HTML, it should pick up the style that I just wrote. And there it does. It makes my text white. It gives me the margins. It also adds a background color of blue. Congratulations. Now that you have done step 1, you have written your first style. Isn't it so rewarding to come here and see that you have done something correctly and you see the blue and the white and it's just like, all right, I can do this. So step 2. Oh, we did step 2. Type header footer. 3. Add a hover color to the links as referenced in figure 4.3. All right. So I know that now I need to go back to my style sheet and I need to do hover. Again, I need to do my open brackets. And it tells me that my hover color needs to be pound F50057 semicolon. We'll go ahead and we'll hit save. Let's go and see if it worked. Oh, I'm hovering over and the color's not changing. Let's see. What did I do wrong? Let's take a look. A hover. Let's go ahead and hit save again. Nope, still not working. So silly, Mrs. O'Connor. I put a period here. It needs to be a colon. So let's go ahead and hit save. Come back to our HTML document, hit refresh, and now the hover color works. So now it turns to pink when you hover over the link. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Create a class for the various section headings in the HTML, Central Park, related photos, and reviews. There are 3 H3 tags where you'll need to add the new class. No problem. So we all know when we start a new class, we put a period in front of it. So we'll name this one headings. And it says, open our squiggly brackets. What color was it supposed to be? Related photos. Okay, so it needs to have a new background color as referenced in this light blue. Sounds good. So we'll go back to our CSS. We'll say background color, and it is #7986 CB. Okay, we'll add it with a semicolon. Let's save. Over here, we'll hit refresh. Okay, now that we've added our background hex code, let's take this class name and add it to our HTML. So now we're telling our HTML that every time you see a class of headings, do what is on the CSS. So we'll do one Central Park. Now Central Park has the blue background. So now we need to do related photos. So I go back to related photos right here. Class equals headings. Then we have one more, right? Reviews. Class equals headings. All right. So we can come here and say refresh. The cool thing about CSS is now if I want to add, say, border just on the top, I can do that. Or let's do border top. We'll make it 1 pixel. And then we'll say border color. You guys don't need to do this. I'm just showing you border color red. And we can come over here back to our HTML. And it will add the border color here around the Central Park. Okay, go ahead and get rid of that. Just not to confuse you guys, but that's the cool thing about CSS is you just have to change it once and then it'll update throughout your document. The last question says, change the text color for the review headline as stated in the reviews section. All right, so here's our new hex code. So we need to change the color. Let's go back here. We'll name it, I believe in the HTML that in chapter 4 they sent you, they called it the byline. Okay, so we do byline, open squiggly brackets, and we wanted you to change the text color. Not a problem. Color. There's my hex code, hit save. Now let's go back over here and hit save, refresh, and let's take a look. And now you can see our review color went from black to this lovely pink color. So those are your 5 questions. We're running out of time on our recording. I know we're going a little bit long. 5 questions, 2 points each. Assignment total is 10. I'm going to do a follow-up video to this just with a little more information. I mean, I won't do a follow-up video. I'll just do a follow-up email. Play around with CSS. You can totally do the full assignment in your textbook on page 166, but you don't have to. I just want you to hand in those 5 changes to your HTML. So the file you zip up for me is going to have an images folder, a .css file, and a .html file. Email me with any questions, kod'connor@mildredle.com. and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.